Tuesday, March 11th, 2008 was the day that was really important to me. I was in 4th or 5th grade at the time, and my friends and I were really excited because a poet was coming to visit our school, and we had the opportunity to have lunch with him. And halfway through the day, I acquired a really bad headache. And I remember running to my teacher, telling her that, I have a really bad headache, can I go to the nurse? Long story short, when I arrived at the nurse's office, I was bawling my eyes out, I was crying, and teachers and students came up to me asking me, like, what's wrong? Are you okay? And I remember one teacher coming up to me to tell me that my dad was picking me up early. And I was surprised because usually he was at work during this time. And so once he, arrived, we went home, he gave me medicine, he put me to bed, and I took a really long nap that afternoon. And I woke up and I felt a lot better. And that day was really important to me because I saw a side of my dad that allowed me to realize he loved me and he cared for my well-being. And one of the reasons why I chose to do this project was to honor him, honor his memory. Despite the fact that he is no longer living, he taught me a lot about responsibility, about embracing your identity, and about just being a good human. He wasn't perfect, but he definitely tried. I also did this project to call attention to the potential that fathers have in raising their sons to be healthy and well-informed citizens in the world. So during the 2019-2020 academic year, I conducted a qualitative study on fatherhood and masculinity. I interviewed 5 fathers in Salem, Massachusetts, and 2 fathers in Kentucky. And all fathers reflected diversity in a variety of ways. And throughout the year, I relied on 5 qualitative anthropological research stages to help me complete the project. Stage 1, the literature review. The literature review is usually a comprehensive summary of previous research on a topic. The review touches upon what some scholarly articles, books, blogs, and more have said about a research topic. Stage 2, qualitative data collection. This stage usually requires researchers to acquire data with or around other people. This may include participant observations, general focus groups, interviews, etc. Questions asked during my interviews were designed to elicit responses relating to past and present fatherhood experiences, personal beliefs regarding the concept of masculinity, and much, much more. Stage 3, coding. Coding is a process that involves sorting and labeling newly acquired research data to discover general or specific themes that will form some sort of thesis about your research topic. Stage 4, data analysis. This process involves researchers comparing data acquired from their literature review to their own newly acquired research data. And finally, stage 5, the results. The results of a qualitative research study is usually presented as a formal summary of your research and data analysis. This written piece is often structured as an explanation of a set research topic or a response to an initial research question. And between all of these stages can come something very, very important: procrastination.
Three words to describe fatherhood: time, love, and responsibility. Those 3 words, to me, define fatherhood. Yeah, I think there's no practice for being a parent until you're thrown into it.
Time is precious. It's so hard for us to see what a developing child goes through at each stage of life.
So the most vivid memory that I still remember right now, and I'm still thankful about that it happened was that
Last January, my father passed away, and my dad had lived with us for about 10 years.
I remember when I was growing up, my parents did not want me to do dancing because there was something like, oh, you're not supposed to dance.
Before I knew what I wanted to do professionally, I always knew I wanted to be a dad. Come to find out, it's a lot more challenging than I thought it was going to be.
I actually never had any fears before becoming a father.
being man for me is beyond your physical attributes.
I think being a man, you really need to be true to yourself, and that can take so many different forms.
Real masculinity always starts with how you view yourself.
Fatherhood is fucking hard.
Mommy's in New York and we're home having fun. Well, there are a lot, a lot of memories when he was younger, and then, school plays and performances and athletic achievements and things like that. When he was about 10 years old, we went skiing in Park City, Utah. We were out west, and he was not sure that he could handle this, this big double black diamond trail, and I encouraged him to try it, and do remember, that was a pretty gratifying moment for both of us when he was able to do that, and he was confident enough to do it and tackle it, and realize that he certainly was very capable. So that's one, but it's one of many.
So the very first memory is when we traveled to Guatemala. My son is from Guatemala, so when we traveled down to pick him up and bring him home, I think that is the first memory that I recall of him coming into the hotel with his foster mother, his pediatrician, and this other person from the agency, and he was running towards us. I guess that's the first beautiful memory of him.
My dad died a few years ago, and very shortly after he died, I started meditating, and I was meditating one morning, and this memory came up of he and I swimming in the ocean in Florida. He was teaching me how to ride waves and how to go out 20 feet, 30 feet and ride the waves back into the beach in Florida. And that is a memory that really came to me in the course of meditating on it. It's one that I had kind of forgotten about, but it's become one of my favorite memories since then, because it stands out in time as time that I spent enjoying time with my dad, which didn't happen a lot.
So the most vivid memory that I still remember right now, and I'm still thankful about that it happened, was that when I was, I think, 3 or 4 at the time, and this was in the Philippines, right? My father belted me, literally, right in my butt. I think he was asking me to take an afternoon nap, which I refused because I was playing at the time. I said, no, it's just a struggle. Go for a nap. No, and then started belting me. I didn't give up. It took a while, right? It took a while. So finally I gave up. I said, I'm not winning on this one. Let me sleep now. Okay. But that gave me a very important lesson in life. He never hurt me anymore. I was never hurt. And I'm so grateful and thankful to my dad that he did that. Looking back, probably I would have not been the person I am right now if I had my way then, if he gave up on me. And I'm telling my dad about it. If I have one vivid memory about it, this is, that moment. I learned a big lesson in life, from that moment.
I think living by example is a great way of attaining fatherhood. You know, we want to give them, especially as a father, give my son a gift of time. You know, time is precious. You know, it's so hard for us to see what a developing child goes through at each stage of life. As a father, I want to provide him and hope and pray for the best for him. At the same token, make him realize, you know, that he has to stay disciplined. I want him to realize, you know, the whole life is a blessing and it has to be dealt with, you know, in a wise manner.
I'm not a successful father if, first of all, I'm not successful at adhering to my religious beliefs, because I believe my religious beliefs, the morals and values that Jesus Christ taught us, just encourage me to be a better father. I think the thing about being a good father is recognizing that anybody can raise a kid, but it takes a father to raise a man. And I think that's the big difference. When you look at fathers that are successful, it's always those fathers that, first of all, recognize their own vulnerabilities, and then they understand the totality and the impact of fatherhood.
My father didn't have the same upbringing that I'm privileged to enjoy. He was so poor, he didn't even finish school. But one thing I learned from him is you have to motivate yourself, work as hard as you can. It doesn't matter if you work for $10 or if you work for $2, as long as it's a job, you work hard for it, because that's how you feed your family. And you always live, a happy life, and at the same time, you work hard. And try to be the best father that you can be for your children. Always be there.
My father was always interested, right? Even if he didn't have, a ton of time because he worked a lot. Part of what I learned from my father was being interested, right? Is to make sure that you're interested, that you're active, you're engaged, you know what's going on. I mean, I think there were times my father, where I didn't think he knew what was going on necessarily. But he did, and he gave me some leeway. He gave me some opportunity to make some mistakes on my own. But if I made them, he was there and he was supportive. So that was a really important lesson.
There are probably a lot of challenges that we've had. Again, we're in a different society, a different religion. Most people practice than I practice, and so it's been tough. Basically, what I think of what are the things that we want to pass on to the kids. It's to pass on the religion. It's to pass on the ethics of honesty, integrity, doing what is right, caring for your fellow man. Those are the challenges that we have learned that are important here, and trying to ensure that with the kids and passing those things on, because those things will, I think, they build the character, and those things are the things that last in perpetuity in the next generation, the following generation.
I think in a very kind of immediately culturally relevant way today, to be the father of two boys in a world where things are very different in terms of heteronormative dynamics with women and the Me Too movement, to be the father of a son who needs to know those things, who needs to know the rules of engagement in terms of how men and women relate, trying to raise them to be decent people that anyone would want to be around, because I feel like in today's world, talking about Trump's America gets kind of old, but it does feel like Trump's America, and it feels like there's basic levels of decency and respect and things like this that are floating out the window. And so trying to make sure that we're doing our part as fathers to send our two sons out into the world as kind of respectful, kind, vulnerable, strong, smart, safe, confident people feels like a lot list it all out like that. But I worry about the day-to-day stuff on a day-to-day basis. The broader kind of political pieces and the safety pieces and the pieces around culture and color and sexuality are always kind of lingering there.
Being man for me is beyond your physical attributes. It's all the mentality. It's all about how you bring about yourself. It's all about how you carry your integrity as a person. Above all, it's how you see yourself, and it's how you protect your family. It's how you be a good person.
I do believe that people identify role models no matter where they are, in their family, school, church, in the community. So I don't think that it is the role of a father to kind of instill or teach what masculinity is. We are a gay household, so Mateo has two fathers, and despite being both males, we represent masculinity in a very different way. So I think Mateo kind of established his sense of masculinity in his own way by taking from different role models.
A man, to me, is one who is able to stay as strong as a person to not only myself, but my immediate family, my extended family, my friends, my community at large, or even as a citizen of this country. I think it's so important at various levels, who I would be identified as a man, in what capacity I would be able to be recognized as. So as a man, I think fulfilling the rights and responsibilities towards self and towards others is the key. Having a trusting relationship is hard, but that's what I strive for, making sure that my family is first, obviously, to making sure that I'm there when they need me, and vice versa, and they're there when I need them. But as a man, I want to make sure that all is dealt with respect and dignity for all kinds of people.
One thing I learned from my father, particularly watching him take care of my mother, is that the true essence of a man lies in your vulnerability, your ability to be vulnerable, your ability to remove your mask and let people see you for who you are, let people see your fears, let people see what you're truly afraid of, and be able to express that. And I think being a really good father for me is my sons being able to see their dad be a heartbroken and a broken man when my dad died. Being a good father for me was my boys seeing me even be broken through a terrible tragedy, me being able to pull the pieces back together and understanding that life still has to go on, and that you can be broken and you can be heartbroken, and you can show emotion and you can show tears and you can show sadness, but that's the real essence of a man. Not trying to set aside your real emotions or trying to have this facade for your kids, because they're going to pick up on that. And if you're not real with your kids, if things happen in your life and you don't show your kids real emotion, real vulnerability, then they're going to grow up thinking that that's how they handle difficult situations in their life.
I think absolutely it is different to be a man in today's society compared to my father's society, probably compared to my grandfather's society and great-grandfather's society. And I think that's gonna continue to change. In my son's environment, being a man may be something different. So you look at your grandfather, great-grandfather, or your father, being a man was that responsibility of taking care of its kids, taking care of the wife, the home, finances, and all that stuff. But I think now being a man is different. And I think it's something you have to learn through and go through a phase of life to get to that level. So even in today's society, even though I have a different view, if I was 20 years old, 25 years old, I would have a different view than I have now.
Well, I do believe that being a man today is different than when my father was growing up. Being a man for my father is following all sorts of stereotypes, where the man goes out to work, the woman stays home, the man wears certain clothes, and a woman wears other clothes. All sorts of stereotypes. For me, the idea of being a man is not necessarily related to the actual gender identity or sexual orientation. It's really kind of a sense of, once again, knowing who you are, self-identity.
And that's the movie. Thank you for watching. Despite the fact that I wasn't able to capture everyone's responses for the movie, I still feel like this film captured the essence of my project. So yeah, thanks for watching.